Good afternoon. I wanted to dedicate this video to a analyst by the name of Tammy Palmore. If I'm not mistaken, she graduated from uh, Morgan State University. And I happen to be thinking about her because she made such a large impact on me in terms of how great of an individual that she was as an analyst, a psychologist. And she was one of the individuals who had met my mom and gave me a better insight on exactly what was going on. And I just wanted to dedicate this video because she was also there when I found out that my sister Ruthie had transitioned. And just wanted to say to her, if ever find her, ever connect with her, that I wanted to tell her a great thanks and how she impacted my life in such a positive and proactive way. She's from Baltimore, Maryland, Baltimore City. So I wanted to get on to the reading, but I also wanted to freestyle just a little bit in terms of today and where my heart and my mind is at. I happen to be studying something called Gnosticism, which ties into everything else that I'm talking about in terms of my readings. And it is my understanding that Gnosticism is a form of knowledge that is based on what one would call today raw truth. Like, it doesn't matter what your race is, what your background is, what you believe, what you don't believe. It just discusses knowledge and wisdom that is just it is just apparent until you decide how you want to impact it and how important it is to you. So I was studying this information. I believe it's called the NAG, NAG. Uh, it starts with an A, Hamdi, something like that. But basically, there's a part in there that deals with something called the 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 thunder, comma, the mind, the mind. And in this information, these words are supposed to have been the words of Jesus, the Christ. And even if they were not his words, I mean, like when you impact and really study the words and ask the Lord to really guide and direct you, when you're reading these words, they resonate with you and they make your body tremble. They make you wonder, like, wow, this is like really awesome. So after I get um, off this video, I'm going to be researching this piece of literature that is called the Gnostic Bible, spelled Gnostic, I believe it is, Gnostic. And these were supposed to have been related to the individuals who were called the Essenes, who taught Jesus as a man in terms of certain studies. And then the other part that really impacted me, which I don't find this spoken about a lot, and that is what happened to Jesus Christ after he was 12 years old. Like, some people believe that the wording goes something like, "My Father and I are one, and when you see me, you have seen him." And most people think that God came to the planet as Jesus Christ, and he just had all the information at once. Based on my studies and my prayers, and I believe that I want to know the truth just like everybody else, it didn't go down like that. Because let's just say if it did, what that would mean is, as a man, that Jesus Christ was just given the information and he just started off at the top. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a man and he owns a company and he makes his son the CEO. Like, his son is running everything. Well, here's what happens when you do that. We, and when I say we, I mean most people that have common sense, though common sense is not common, that if you just give someone something, they will not appreciate. They appreciate it. They will have no value over the toil, the suffering, the real appreciation of the responsibility of having this wisdom. And said another way, it would make it too, how can I say, like fanciful, like it's magic, or just someone who just knows something and they just know it because they know it. Now, based on my studies, I know this: if I had a company and I was the top head of everything, ran everything, I personally would place my son in a situation where he would learn from the very bottom of the bottom, and secretly he would never know uh, that he's been placed in this situation for a reason. I would have individuals who would give me, how can I say, information in terms of how my son was elevating or whatever that he was doing, how his mindset was going on. And just as he was ready to quit, because everybody has a quitting aspect within themselves, I would give him an out. But in that out, there would be a lesson. And I would give him that inspiration that he would know deep in his heart, because he's my son, that now he's got the next step. He's got the next strike. Now, personally, I know that any man who attempts to even attempt to understand the mind of God, that's like a big mistake. But we can still try. And when I get into wisdom and understanding what that's all about, I'm also beginning to find out that you can have faith and you can have the thought and you can also even have the conviction. But none of this will mean anything without the ingredient of love. Now, what my life has taught me is everybody that's around me who has impacted me in any kind of way, when I sit back and I look at the playing field, I know that I can't get where I'm going unless I really appreciate why these individuals were in my life and what they taught me as a result. Now, based on what I understand up to this point, you cannot move forward unless you know the power of forgiveness. You can't move forward unless you understand that the Lord in his great mercy always gives us a lesson. And the lesson is, if you live the life of a human, you're going to make mistakes. But the key is, are you paying attention? Do you really want it? And where I'm currently at right now, though I can talk to people on the phone, this has been, other than prison, and even though God was there too, but I really didn't understand. And I can recount several important times where I know he was there. With me being in Arizona, I quote unquote do not really have no friends that I hang out with. Nobody that I could like call and say, hey, I'm in trouble. Could you please come? Or I'm in a situation and I need your aid and assistance, and I don't have to call them twice or they're not picking up their phone. So what this did for me is that it compelled me, it forced me to depend on God as I know him. And what I seek every day now is to learn him more, to open my heart up more, to really understand God, my Father, who created me. And I had to reach a point in my life to realize I did not create me. But I do know that my objective is definitely to be an adept. That's spelled ADEPT. My objective in this life is definitely to be a master of life. my objective is to learn any and everything that I can. I remember my brother-in-law, he got upset with me. We were talking one day, and he said, bro, he said, you don't have the right attitude. He said, you can't go into someone's place of business and learn everything that you can and somewhat let the people know that that's why you're there. But what I learned from that, even though you can't be what you're not, if you are an eagle, there's no way that you can masquerade yourself as a duck. It's impossible. And so what I learned, especially based on my humble beginnings, is that I believe that part of my life is to learn every single thing. And the main thing I've learned more than anything else is suffering, pain, um, having your plans crushed right in front of your eyes, depending on people that you thought that you could depend upon and you found out that you couldn't. Also, letting your own self down when you needed yourself and even you were not there. And so that's what I've learned. And so I'm sure that there's many people on this planet who've made many mistakes, but I don't think there's that many people who've made as many mistakes as me or lost as many jobs as I've lost, for whatever that reason might be. Or even before you got out the gate, you was crushed. Because when you have a felony in the United States of America and you don't really have a plug and you don't really have no way to come up, you done. You crushed. You ain't going nowhere. And it don't matter if it's not your fault, because you got people watching you all the time and they think or they feel, or when they view you, they, how can I say, judge you based on what they see, but they don't have the entire plan. So what I'm doing right now is I'm reprogramming myself, and I'm finding out that the greatest thing that creates your reality is your own thought. Because your thought is a mental law. The mental law comes before the physical law, even though they're supposed to be aligned. So basically what I'm doing right now is I don't study what's in the books. I don't study based on uh, how people perceive me, or whether they believe in me, whether they like me or whatever. I know that the only essence that I have to, how can I say, find favor with is what I call the supreme being. And I'm also finding out that for many years I learned race prejudice. I had to get above that. Regardless what somebody else does, it don't matter what they do. I'm finding out what matters is what I do, what I focus upon, what I put together. Am I really listening? And so I know in the future, someone's going to look at this and it may give them cause to think about their life. Another thing I'm finding out too is that you have two aspects of life. You have the individuals that copy everyone else or they seek to please others, and people who, how can I say, like they just want to get along. In fact, they're competitors. They compete against each other. I don't want to compete against anyone else. I want to be what I call a playmaker, what's called a creator. I don't want to do what everyone else has done. I want my thinking to be different. I want my path to be different. And now what I do now is I call on God and I say, God, did I make the right decision? Am I going in the right direction? Is there anything else that I can do? Is there anything else that I need to do to stay focused on what my demonstration is? And that's how I see it, because I know that everybody is on this planet to do what they're supposed to be doing. I'm finding out that there's no two trees that are alike. There are no two snowflakes that are alike. There are not two grains of sand that are alike. And there's a reason behind that. But these aren't necessarily my words. And so I'm doing the research. I'm doing what is necessary for what it is that I have to do, the way that I'm being called. So I wanted to get to the reading on what I felt that would be important for today until I do another video this evening. No limitations. There are no limitations for the Supreme God, better known as Universal Subconscious Mind. Whatever you dare ask for, it will be given. And you need only have faith and ask, and or ask and have faith. The great lesson we all have to learn is to think only positively of good. It's funny that my mother's maiden name is All Good. Though my mother's name before it was Mary, she was named Helen. If you drop off the E and the N, you got what? Hell. Hell. Almost like an oxymoron, almost like a great heap of what they call humor. And then I had to love my mother in spite of the warrior that she created. And understand why I must love her no matter what. That's the greatest thing I've learned as a man. For in seeking good and thinking evil, we destroy our very lives on the sharp edge of the law of attraction and manifestation. Each negative thought that finds root in our acceptance brings upon us the very opposite of that which we seek. Frustration, illness, defeat, hopelessness, despair are all the result of our desiring good and thinking negatively. For we have not the slightest chance of attaining good as long as we are creating evil with our own thoughts. Therefore, it is that we have embarked upon the 30-day mental diet. It is that you are advised today as Jesus advised so long ago. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added unto you. The center of consciousness. The kingdom of heaven is the center of consciousness. The kingdom of heaven is that place of utter calm and serenity within the depths of your soul, where your eye becomes fused with the immortal eye of all creation. It is the place where you no longer are the doer, but instead become fused with the observer, the great contemplator, at the place where there is not for you to do, but choose and accept where whatever is so chosen and so accepted becomes manifest in the physical world about you. You will be at that place where there is nothing for you to do, but choose and accept. And it is chosen and so accepted becomes manifest in the physical world about you. Communion with your center of consciousness, the practice of the meditations, the 30-day mental diet will provide the tools with which you may banish negative thinking from your mind forever. And I was thinking about that. If I can just banish my own negative thoughts and then focus only on the positive, and then let the divine source begin to manifest. I'm like, I can just imagine it in expectation, because I see it all around me. I see people doing well, things going on, things are happening for them. And so I ask myself, why can't I have that life? And now it's not even about so much why isn't it happening. It's about, Lord, I'm going to wait on you, because I know you're in charge. I know you're in control. I know you allowed me to go through certain fires, certain misunderstanding, and it was up to you to help me decide where I was going, and it's up to you to decide on what direction that I go. because you are making me, not no one else is. Through these tools, you will build strong habits of positive thinking that will be your strength against every negative circumstance that crosses your path. So here's where I'm at right now. Like, and this has been like, I don't know, maybe like 40 or 50, about, I will even go as far as 60 years of my life. Instead of me being a man creating my circumstances, I allowed the circumstance to create me. So I know that part. So I'm an expert in that. So now I want to get to be an expert in where I'm going now, because that's the purpose of these videos. Somebody's going to pick this up, even if it's just one, even if I just connect with one, because I know what kind of time I'm on. I know how I got the role. I know what kind of life that I want. You know what I'm saying? And I'm studying the data to the point where I don't even have to read it per se, apart from what I'm sharing right now. And it states negative circumstance will cross your path. Negative circumstances will cross your path. But how about this? This is what you do. That is, circumstances that appear like somebody saying something crazy or something nasty or giving you that grimace or saying something underneath their breath or their body language is not supportive. That's when you ignore it. You focus on the positive only. And what happens when you focus on the positive only, it produces more positive no matter what happens in front of you. It's a mindset. And then it becomes, like in this other data I was studying, it's called unconscious consciousness. It's scientific. And see, I've learned the hard way. Follow your own advice. Follow your own teachings. Don't wait for somebody to approve what you know you're supposed to be doing. Make your and create your own path and know why. And then here's the beautiful thing about it: when you don't get what do you call that? It's a certain term when you get selfish, right? See, selfishness is good when you focus on completing who you are. You can't help nobody else until you've helped yourself. But then once you get it, you keep that door open. And here's the beautiful thing I like: you can open up the door at will, like wherever you at. You can close it, open it, keep it open. And you know when somebody who's not supposed to be going through the door, you can feel it. You shut it as they have a part of their body going through it. And it basically spits them out. Because we're not going to have nothing negative. We're not going to have nobody mess this situation up. That's the reason why it took, nearly 50, 60 years for me to get to this point. And my position is like this. When I was coming to Tucson, there was a tractor trailer behind me going about 93 miles an hour. If it wasn't for that tractor trailer's driver's skill and God, I'm not even supposed to be here. It would have been a wrap. So the way I think about it is that, why am I here? What is the purpose? Because they got enough foolish people on the planet. They got enough, like when I look at the news and so forth and so on my iPhone, I don't need to say anything. And I don't need to be stupid. I don't need to be dumb. I don't need to just put myself out there just to put myself out there and be a statistic without a face, which that could have happened like 30, 40 years ago. So my question that I pose to the Supreme Being is, Lord, why am I here? What is my purpose? And I done found out what it is. And part of what it is making these videos. Circumstances that are negative will cross your path that will appear to be negative, for they will be detours from the path which you have projected for yourself, but they actually will be perfect steps towards your goal in the infinite wisdom of the universal subconscious mind. So that means I'm supposed to be sitting in this crazy car that my awesome brother-in-law got me, that in my mind it is what I call, it's a Arctic White 2021 Rolls Royce with gold inlay. That's what I got, and that's just one, and that's the least of it. Because with God, He can produce anything He want to produce. You know what I'm saying? And you don't know how He gonna bring it. You don't know how He gonna put it in front of you. But I do know this: it all begins with thought. And that was something else I didn't understand when I was in prison, right? I didn't understand the incredible imagination that I had that was getting me through, and I had no idea of it. I remember when I would stand about 2, 3, maybe 4 inches away from my wall in my cell, especially over in Baltimore City Jail, and I would speak quietly, and I would imagine myself speaking to 2 to 3 million people at once. Now, why would I have these thoughts? Because obviously, sitting in this car, I'm not in no crazy house. The police ain't knocking at my door. Ain't nobody looking for me. Now, there may be some people, because for some crazy reason, where I live at right now, I mean, I got all these cars like driving back and forth, and very few of the people look like me, and they see me with my lips moving, so they probably, I don't know. I mean, like if I saw somebody, well, I'm just saying, I mean, people be looking at me and they be like, yo, like, like, first of all, where I live at, I very rarely see somebody that look like me, so I'm out of order that by itself, right? But just happen to be speaking about it. You know what I'm saying? It states that through the universal subconscious mind, that only when you accept what's going around you in terms of the negative as evil, that they become evil. So the key, when evil go down, don't accept it. Reject it. Reject it. Because here's the science. And I was trying to figure this out, right? So I'm not going to break it totally down, but it goes something like this. If evil was totally in charge 100%, and it was running things 100%, and it was in 100% in control, then there would be no earth. There would be nothing. So what is the purpose of evil? Evil is to teach an individual who recognizes error in their thought to recognize that what maintains the balance in the earth is good. So what is the purpose of evil? The purpose of evil is for us to focus on good and to realize through the thought process we produce more good that comes to us. And then when things get real crazy and it look like everything's going bad, you still focus on the good, and boom, the positive support you, and then you be like, whoa, how'd that happen? First you think it's just luck, but see, in my particular case, um I do so much research. I remember one time, right, I was talking to my son, and I had a very bad relationship with my son because he did not understand the story that I was born into, and he just thought that I threw him over to the wayside. So there's one particular day, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, he said to me, he said, "You're going to be alone." So I was like, wow, man, that don't sound good, right? You know what I mean? But I guess it would make sense for him to say something like that, because I believe that he felt that from the jump I rejected him. But then I didn't understand that there was a power speaking through my son's mouth, because in order for me to do what I need to do, I have to be alone. Because God can't talk to you when you're surrounded by 30, 40, 50 people, or you going through your own changes mentally, or somebody telling you you wrong, 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 and you be like, yo, well, maybe what they saying I am wrong. Maybe I'm just a bad person. Maybe I'm just 100% bad, just no good. You know what I'm saying? This is the reason why a lot of what you call your masters, they separate themselves from society so that they can focus on hearing that which is within. Because ultimately, in the end result, the only reason why I know that we're on the planet is that everybody, just about everybody, wants, even what I call a negative dude, still wants his plan to go right in negativity. So what do you call that? Or how about this in movies? You'll see a bad guy, and all of a sudden somebody on his team will get hurt, and then everybody saying, "Oh man, that's messed up." But he's the bad guy. So if my life had been different, I know for a fact if my life had been different, I would have went into the military following what my father was doing. Because I would have been age appropriate instead of being in the Vietnam War, I would have went to either Desert Storm or Afghanistan, and I was one of them type of dudes that would have definitely been like gung ho, yeah, let me what do you call that, volunteer, for the special forces and whatever that's going on, and I would have died. That's it. I would have been one more black man holding a pistol where I don't even know who I'm at, allegedly in my own country that's called the United States of America. The world would my family would have been happy then, so that they could put up my fake medals or whatever, or the flag on my coffin. Like when my sister passed, when the dudes came with the little flag. You know what I'm saying? Or when my father passed and they gave him the flag. Man, I can't do nothing with no flag. See, so I'm alive for a reason or a purpose, even if nobody else don't understand. I'm just asking God to give me more insight. And God can do that. See, God creates the impossibility, and I'm definitely impossible. Make no mistake about it. So at the end of the day, those that's watching this, it don't matter whether you believe it or not. Check your information with God. Like, approach God and look. And if you really serious, say, God, I don't like that fella. Can you give me some sign or symbol in my dream, in my sleep? Show me that how I can straight either crush him or show me how show me where I'm wrong. Because I personally don't know anyone who knows every single thing, who's perfect on everything. We all got baggage, even though the information says forget your mistakes. Focus on the positive today, because today is a new day. Until I make the next video.